In this section, we'll cover how to use Avaya site administration to add a voice system and to differentiate between the two modes of ASA, Jedi, graphically enhanced affinity interface, and terminal emulation. This slide is an overview of the roles of an installer and a system administrator. Basically, the installer installs the systems and verifies that the hardware and the individual templates are up and working, whereas an administrator does the day-to-day administration and maintenance task. Avaya Site Administration, or ASA, is the primary administrative tool for system administrators. It provides a graphical user interface for system access terminal commands, in other words called SAT commands. Also provides another format called terminal emulation for troubleshooting functions, and it allows remote access for administrative tasks and reporting. ASA is used to perform day-to-day administrative and maintenance tasks, such as adding phones, adding users, changing phones, generating reports. ASA can also be used to schedule some administrative functions. This screen shows one of the modes of ASA, known as Jedi. It's used primarily by customers for administrative functions. It also contains wizards that make a lot of the administrative functions simplified. Terminal emulation is normally used for the troubleshooting of Communications Manager. As an example, here is a commonly used troubleshooting command, list trace. There's many different options of list trace. We will cover that in the troubleshooting section. In this section, we'll cover how you install ASA on your laptop. ASA is a Windows-based program. You simply load the CD and go through the administrative steps that will be covered in the following slides. Okay, right now we're going to demo how to install ASA from a CD. Licensed customers are entitled to this CD as a free download. And you'll see this is just your typical Windows program installation process. I'm going to click on Install and Site Administration. This is just like any other Windows program installation. You've got a couple windows with questions. Normally you want to go with the defaults. He said here just want to click through the normally the defaults. Right here is the accept. Keeping in the default directory. You want to install site administration. The launch page ID, you can leave that blank unless you had a separate integration management system. You want to put a special IP address in there. And off it goes. When the installation is complete, click Exit, and you should have a site administration icon on your desktop. Double-click to open it. The first question it asks you is, would you like to add a new voice system? Right here is where you can add the Communications Manager system you want to administer. Click OK. The voice system name should be a unique name so you know exactly what system you're dealing with. If you have multiple switches at the same location, just make sure you give them a unique name. We're going to use an IP network connection, which is default. Right here is where you put in the IP address of the CM template that you previously loaded. Make sure you have SSH clicked. That is, again, default, but verify that it is checked. We'll leave the connection timeouts default. Right here, what it's asking is, when you're accessing this system, do you want to have the system automatically log you in with the same login, which is very useful with some Jedi applications, or do you want to be logged in manually each time? For right here, we're going to click manually. Click next. Since we're doing manual, we do not have to put any information here. If you were doing automatically log you in, here's where you put the login and password. We're not going to test it at this time. So we're going to click next, and that's it. Now you're finished. You're going to get a message. This is only on initial installation of Avaya Site Administration. It's going to have you set up a voice system and then tell you, you don't have a messaging system set up. Would you like to set one up now? No, we don't. And so right now we are finished installing ASA. If you already have ASA loaded on your machine, it's very simple to add new or additional voice systems and or voicemail systems or messaging systems. Over here, an icon on the far left. When I go over, you'll see it says add new voice system. And right next to it is new messaging system. You'll have the exact same options of the screens you've already seen. And also, if you'd like to go through the file menu, if you click File, New, you'll see the same options right there. So right now, to access this system, we have two ways of doing it. We can go into a graphical user interface called Jedi, which is right here, Start Jedi, or we can also do something called terminal emulation. Right now, I'm going to show you how to do Jedi. So you just click on Start Jedi. It's going to ask you for your login and password. For this session, we're going to use the Avaya default of Craft with the password of CRFTPW. Right here, you must re-enter your password, hit enter, and then you either click right here where it says continue or hit the F7 function key. And there's your window for Jedi. What you'll see up on the top here is a down arrow that will keep approximately 70 of your last used commands. So with Jedi, you don't have to memorize what commands you need to do. You also have some function keys. In order to send the information, you would click this button, Send. Very important key is right here, the F5 or Help button. And to cancel what you're doing, you would click right here, this cancel function. So right here, we'll also show another way. Let me emphasize how important help is. So you can do help and just type a command. It will give you all the options you have, in this case, with the help command. We'll talk about commands a little later. But this is the Jedi function. You have a dialog window here. You have other options over here on the left-hand side, and you actually have a history down here on the bottom window. To exit from Jedi, you want to click on one of the boxes here. This will say disconnect all devices. That way you'll cleanly disconnect from Jedi. You click OK. That was Jedi. Used a lot for administration work. The other option you have is called Terminal Emulator. That one is used a lot for maintenance. Jedi cannot do a lot of the maintenance type commands. So if you're doing any sort of troubleshooting, you are going to have to use Terminal Emulator. How you get to that? Over on the left-hand side, you can click the Advanced tab, and you'll see Start Emulation. Also, there's a shortcut. If you would just hold down your control button and press the E, you come right to this window. Just like Jedi, you put in the login of Craft, password of CRFTPW. Again, you must re-enter your password a second time. Now you press enter. You notice you have a totally different screen. It shows you your software version, and now it's asking you for a terminal type, which is very important. Up on top of the screen right here, you'll see your site administration, what terminal emulator you're set up as, which happens to be 513. You'll see you have many other options that you can use. If you want to do 513 right here, since it's in brackets, I could actually just press the enter key, or I can type in 513, either way you want to do it. And I'll ask you to suppress alarms. We'll do yes. This is the terminal emulation screen right here with your command prompt. A very common mistake right here in terminal emulation is to put the wrong terminal type in there. Happens a lot. But if you can get back to the command screen, if you type this command right here, new term, one word, and press enter, you'll see you go right back to the screen that's going to ask you for your terminal type. Again, this is a very important function, the terminal type. If you get that wrong, your screen will map out very, very incorrectly, and sometimes you are locked up to a point where you actually got to close site administration down and log back in. Just some examples of commands, especially the very, very important one. When you do any administration changes, you'll want to do the command save translations. And we'll talk about, you'll notice I didn't have to type out the entire word. And now when you're finished, in order to log off of Communications Manager, the command is log off. And it's going to ask you, and here you'll see it's saying it has an alarm. You still want to proceed with the log off. We're going to log off. And then we are disconnected. In this section, we cover that Avaya Site Administration is a graphical interface used to configure, administer, and maintain CM. And ASA comes in two modes: Jedi, normally used by administrators, and the terminal emulation mode, which is primarily used by technicians or when troubleshooting.